Hey guys, so the 7900 XTX reviews are out, and I don't want to be the one to say that I predicted this would happen, but 7900 XTX is trash. You should rather actually buy the 4080. It's a better buy value than 7900 XTX. AMD basically cheated on every one of you by showing these benchmarks. They clearly highlighted that it is around 1.5 to 1.6 times faster than 6950 XT, but it's not. It's actually 35 to 40 in the benchmark part. I will show you. But again, yeah. So it's not really worth it. So my prediction that I did around 4 weeks back, a month back, when 4080 come out in my 4080 review, I said that you would be better off buying the 4080 rather than buying the 7900 XT. But I actually recommended the 4090, but yeah, so for some people that's way over budget, so 4080 is a better buy. Don't even talk about the XT. XT is complete trash. Like it does not even perform equal to 7. It basically perform equal to 3090 Ti at best, right? So if you can just buy a used 3090 Ti at that price, which will perform better at ray tracing than the 7900 XT. So there's really no point in buying the XT. So it is complete trash. So this is my video from 3 weeks ago. I clearly told you that it will be faster in rasterization. I'll talk more on the benchmark section. It's about 5% faster than the 4080, and I told you that it will be slower than in ray tracing, and it is slower. It is significantly slower than 4080, around 20 to 25%. And in games which are heavily, not I would say heavily ray traced, but I would say that utilize different parts of ray tracing like global illumination, reflections, shadows, contact shadows, everything. Like Cyberpunk, it's around 40 to 50% slower, right? And I also told you in that same video that Nvidia leads in software part, right? So DLSS technologies like DLSS 3, even normal DLSS image quality is way better in Nvidia than AMD. They DLSS is also supported in many more games. Like now, some people would argue that and AMD would also come out with technology, but you are paying the money right now. Why wait for future, right? You are not paying for future. So if your technology does not come out on time, so what's the point, right? So I think yeah. So one quick rant that I will just go about is you're gonna save $200 buying the XTX, and you will get faster rasterization performance. But what will you do? You will suffer in the ray tracing performance. Now, given that $200, will you go ahead and buy extra ray tracing hardware and put it in your system and then play ray tracing? Now, people would say that ray tracing is not major. Ray tracing is actually major. It's now part of every game, and for 7900 XTX is basically a 3090 Ti. I will tell you why. Because ray tracing hardware in AMD is inferior, not just sheer power wise number of cores, it's architecturally inferior to Nvidia, hence the slow performance. And you just cannot buy a different set of hardware and plug into your system for ray tracing itself, right? You got to buy the whole GPU. Imagine buying $1,000 GPU which cannot even pump out 30 FPS in Cyberpunk, right? So what's the point? What's the point of that? You can just buy a $1,200 GPU which is 4080, which provides almost the same performance in rasterization and like 30% better in ray tracing with better software technologies, right? So yeah, I don't know why how reviewers are actually recommending 7900 XTX. It's $1,000, man. You cannot. Even the Witcher 3 new game that's coming out, the patch basically for the Witcher 3 has global illumination and reflection and everything. What's gonna happen then? Like you're gonna buy $1,000 graphic card and can't play that game very well. So just buy the 4080 itself. I would say just buy the 4090, right? So I think I can end the video by in this point in the intro itself, but we will go through the benchmarks and I'll show you why. Now we are in the benchmarks part, right? So this is where the 50% to 70% claims are completely lie. So they do not fall in that range. In rasterization, it's almost equivalent to 4080. I will just give it 5% to the 7900 XTX, but it's like almost equal. Uh, in some games it is slightly above, like about 10% faster, but in some it's slightly under as well, minus 5%. So on an average it's like you can say 5% faster than 4080. Of course, when your drivers improve with AMD, that generally happens. That's that. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, it almost is about 4090 level, so they have always liked AMD's graphic card. So that's that. But yeah, there's nothing much to talk about in the benchmark and performance section, right? That's that. uh, in ray tracing, it is trash. It is completely trash, right? So I will talk in the next section why ray tracing is still trash in AMD, because they actually did not do any work. They just increased the number of compute units, no architectural changes, no nothing. Because so I'll go into more into depth in the next section. But yeah, in Watch Dogs it's 20% slower than compared to 4080. Cyberpunk gets 50% because Cyberpunk actually uses a lot of what you say, ray tracing technologies. I will talk about it more in the next section, and I briefly touched upon it in the intro as well, right? Why it's that. In general, you can expect at best 3090 Ti like performance, even 3090 at some cases, right? So 3090 Ti is the best performance you can get in terms of ray tracing, and in general, it's like 20 to 25% slower than 4080, which is the difference in price as well, right? So 4080 is like 20% for premium over 7900 XTX. So you are getting more than that performance. So in a way, that's a better deal, right? So you can say that okay, rasterization it's same, and it in ray tracing it's actually better. So if you think about the cards right now, right, so we'll talk about in the conclusion section, but this is all about benchmarks. There's nothing special about it. The cards they showed up in the initial one testing, and my review does not match with that. So this is the best I can get, but they sort of prompted about 50 to 70%, which is a complete lie. So now let's talk about why ray tracing sucks. Sucks. Yeah, so let's talk about this, why ray tracing actually sucks. So how they work is Nvidia uses dedicated hardware, dedicated tensor cores. They just use ray accelerators per CPU. So they sort of, I think they use one-to-one mapping per CPU. There is one ray accelerator, or I think it might be two as well. But Nvidia technically uses dedicated hardware for ray tracing, right? So what happens is your rasterization is performed by different cores called CUDA cores, and rasterization is performed by tensor cores. So that is why they are sort of ahead in terms of architecture and hardware itself. Now what AMD did is AMD sort of did a patchwork kind of solution, right? So they just implemented ray accelerators per their compute unit. Compute unit is basically their graphic processing units, right? In that, so they just implemented ray accelerators, which would help in that kind of math. So the one thing to note about GPUs is that GPUs, every core in GPU is sort of designed to perform particular kind of instructions, right? That's how they differ with from CPUs, right? You can say that CPU and GPU both are dies and microprocessor. Why can't we interchange them? Because GPUs are just made for one type of calculation. So what they sort of did is they hacked kind of, right? So ray tracing is a different kind of calculation. Say just implemented a patchwork on their existing functional cores, right, for rasterization. That is why their ray tracing initially when they launched, they were just targeting ray trace shadows, and that is the case why games which do not implement heavy ray tracing actually perform decently well on 7900 XTX. For example, this what you call Battlefield 5 performs almost equal to 4080. So in Battlefield 5 they perform almost equal to 4080. I would say equal, right, in ray tracing, because Battlefield 5 does not have a lot of ray tracing. They just have ray trace shadows, right, which is sort of what they made their graphics cards for. They sort of made it in the to fool the public, right? So I would say I'm really disappointed that they did not actually invest more into this. I don't know if they're going to invest in RDNA 4 as well. I don't think so. I think they are just going to increase the number of compute units and go ahead with this architecture. But I think Nvidia is leading the space here, and they will continue to lead in because they have sort of dedicated hardware and architecture for this, right? Yeah, so we are now in the conclusion part, and I think I have been very clear with this video that I am not a fan of 7900X. I actually wanted to buy this personally, but now I won't be buying this because this is nothing good about this, right? So if you see that there are multiple reasons. The only reason in favor of 7900 XTX over the 4080 is the price, right? But again, with that $200, you cannot buy extra ray tracing hardware and put it into your system, right? And if you're spending $1,000, why can't you just go ahead and buy $1,200 card? Yeah, I'm not saying that Nvidia's price is justified or AMD's price is justified. I'm just saying that given the prices, given what they have already launched, why can't you just spend 200 more and get way more performance in ray tracing and similar performance in rasterization? Yeah, Nvidia should be ahead in rasterization theoretically in an ideal scenario, but they are not, right? But let's say you are a gamer and you have the Witcher 3. Now that new patch comes out, you're gonna miss out a lot, right? Nvidia probably will perform 30% better in when the ray tracing is enabled. So what you gonna do then? Are you going to regret that you saved that $200? And I don't think it's $200 itself. I've been hearing that I was almost about to close this video, but I have been hearing that the actual price is going to be 1099, not $1,000. So the price difference is just $100 now. So why do you want to buy this? Okay, so let's just go over other points, right? So we all covered this through the whole video, right? It has way way better, I mean 4080 has way better productivity. 7900 XTX almost performs to equal to 3019 blender and other benchmarks as well, right? So in that case also you have the advantage buying the 4080. The reason why 7900 XTX, I will tell you why. Why 7900 XTX can match 4080 in gaming but not in productivity. Nobody is going to tell you this. Is that 7900 XTX uses caching, right? Heavy caching mechanism like they use in the what you say 5800 X3D. Now games have very fast instruction switching, right? So what happens is multiple instructions are going on. So what you have to do is switch it from RAM and so on, right? If you have a lot of cache, that speeds up the process because GPU can directly talk to its RAM, not RAM, directly talk to its cache, right? Which is way faster communication. So that's why gaming can benefit, but productivity benchmarks or productivity work does not benefit a lot from that. That was the case with 5800 X3D and 5800X as well, right? So that's that. There are driver glitches and bugs as well, right? So 6800 6900 XT users did suffer from that. So right now in 7900 XTX, game crashes are common, right? You would have, I was seeing uh, there are a lot of game crashes. There is even a black screen on booting up. So yeah, that's that. Software is definitely inferior, right? You can talk about DLSS versus FSR. DLSS quality is better and DLSS performance is also better, right? And DLSS will remain the king because they actually use dedicated hardware, whereas FSR does not. Maybe 2 years down the line they get better or on par, but you are buying the graphic card now, not 2 years after, right? So why do this? So yeah, in my honest opinion, simply buy the 4090 if you can extend your budget, because that will give you a true 4K experience. But if you don't have the budget, or if you are tight with the budget, buy the 4080. Don't buy this. If you are getting a good deal, or if AMD decides to drop the price by $100, then buy the 7900 XTX. It does make sense, but I would say still go for the 4080. But yeah, because the thing is that if you are already spending $1,000 or 1100 now, why can't you just spend $1,200, right? That's the thing. But if you are never going to play ray tracing games, which is a lie because the games look way better. For example, in Control also it is like 30% slower than 48. It is almost like 3090 Ti. So you're gonna play Control, right? So you if you're gonna play Control, you bought a new graphic card. You say, oh okay, I'm gonna play it at high frame rates, but it won't deliver in 4K, right? So DLSS is so DLSS does not work in that, and in that game does not support FSR. So you would be stuck with a laggy experience even after spending $1,000. So just buy the 4080 itself. But yeah, if they decide to lower it to maybe $900, then you can buy it. Yeah, $900, that's a good deal. 7900 XT, don't even look at that. That's the dumbest card ever.